Hi everybody, welcome back to another edition of Collecting Canadian Cavalry and Armour. Today we're going to take a look at the badges of, some of the badges anyway, the ones that I have in my collection, to the British Columbia Dragoons. Good regiment, been around for a long time, out there in the British Columbia interior, on mainland British Columbia. So what we're going to do is, like I said, we'll take an individual look at all the different badges, because they have a couple of very interesting ones here. And the predecessor, the 30th British Columbia Horse, we'll take a look at their badges as well. Uh, and we'll talk about timelines and that type of thing. But like I said, good unit, wonderful guys, had a great record during the Second World War. They were the 5th Canadian Armour Division. So let's take a close look at the badges. So we'll take a look at some of these early badges from the British Columbia Horse. Now, the BC Dragoons can draw their lineage back to the Vernon Mounted Rifles, which was formed in 1897. Then in 1910, they hooked up with the Canadian Mounted Independent Rifles, Mounted Rifle Squadrons that existed from 1908 to 1910. 1910, the British Columbia Horse was formed, and that was from 1910 to 1911. Then the 1st Regiment British Columbia Horse until 1912, and then the 30th Regiment British Columbia Horse. And that's what these badges are here. You can see the cap badge here, and we have a collar and a set of the brass shoulder titles. These are in copper, and you see in the back, this particular badge is nice and fully stamped, and it's got good detail front and back, but you don't find a maker's mark on this one. But again, there was a helmet plate that existed that looks exactly like this badge. It's featured in Daniel Mazaeus' book. So guys, here is the badges for the 30th British Columbia Horse, which was around officially from 1912 until 1920. Don't forget, 1920 was the big reorganization of militia after the First World War. So here we go. During the Great War, the British Columbia BC Horse raised the 2nd British Columbia Mounted Rifles for service overseas, and this is the badge. Once they came back, and there was a reorganization of the militia, the regiment was renamed to the British Columbia Mounted Rifles, and the regiment decided to keep using the First World War badge, which again is featured here, and they wore this badge from 1920 till 1929. So if you get the First World War, Second, and post World War One, the badges are the same. Sometimes you'll find them here where it says BCH there. You'll find some have brackets, some do not. Depends on which version, which manufacturer you get, but it really doesn't alter the value of the badge at all. So here we go, guys. British Columbia Mounted Rifles. So here we have the officer's version of the British Columbia Dragoons badge that was introduced in 1929. This one is an officer's badge. You can see it's fire gilt and then frosted silver down here. Very nice badge. Very hard to come by, these guys here. The other ranks wore basically the same badge but in plain brass. Due to the time period and that type of thing, there wasn't a heck of a lot of guys in the unit, and so these badges are much harder to find. But they used this version, the officers anyway, up until 1939 when they went to the next pattern badge. So you can see this one here on the back. It's very nice. It's kind of a cast thing, and you can see where they've have the rivets to hold on the silver motto on the badge. And it's not maker mark, but it's got 2 lugs, and it's a very nice badge. Wonderful to be able to add something like this to your collection. All right, folks, here we have the pattern that was introduced in 1937. You can see it's more rounded here as opposed to the earlier version badge. The junior ranks, or the ranks, held was a brass badge. Now there has been some officer badges where the maple leaf has been silvered. I'm not sure if that was done locally, like at the regiment or not, but so this is the next pattern. This is a much more common pattern badge. Now down here we also see excuse me, set of collar badges. One's kind of a brighter coppery looking bronze, and this one's a much darker bronze, but they are set. Maybe somebody tried to clean one. It wasn't me, but somebody probably did. And then here we see the BCD brass shoulder titles. Now don't forget, guys, these would only be worn on the service dress. Okay, they wouldn't be worn on the battle dress. So, but they were worn right up to unification. Okay, so there's plenty of these guys around. Second World War pattern badge. So, guys, here is the modern badge. It's being worn currently by the members of the regiment. You'll see here the solid brass one, which would be for the non-commissioned ranks. On the back, it just has a slider on the back here, as you can see. Just slides onto the beret. And over here, we see the officer's wire badge, the sew-on badge. As you know from past episodes, many regiments went to these type of badges for the officers. Remember, the Windsor Regiment had a few different variations and that type of thing. But this is the one that's being currently used by the officers of the British Columbia Dragoons. So here we have two examples of the colored shoulder titles that were introduced during the Second World War. As you can see, the pattern basically remains the same, but you can see the difference in color here. This is much more dark chocolatey type brown. This is a little bit lighter. Both manufactured and used by the regiment during the Second World War. Again, this is a good way that you can tell, or you can see anyway, the difference in manufacturers of these different badges. So here we have the shoulder title that was worn on the Canadian Forces green dress uniform. This is the uniform that came in just after unification and was used up until they've got the distinctive environmental uniforms. But this is the shoulder title that was worn on that uniform. And next to it here we see the fully embroidered shoulder title, still the same pattern from the Second World War, but this one was used on the garrison dress. You'll find most of these shoulder titles that are completely embroidered like that, depending on whatever regiment, were generally used on that camouflage garrison dress uniform. So here, guys, and girls, we have, actually this isn't a shoulder badge, it's an arm badge for the British Columbia Dragoons. They were part of the 5th Canadian Armour Division, fought through Italy and then up into Northwest Europe. And you'll see the rectangle here in maroon cloth with BCD. The commander of the 2nd Armored Brigade wanted all of his regiments to have their nickname or their shortened name, like BCD, embroidered on to their division patches. Why? That was just his preference, and when you're a general, I guess you can make those kind of decisions. So anyway, this one is a Second World War vintage arm badge. This would be worn between the shoulder seam and the rank. And this one came out before the colored shoulder titles. Okay, 5th Canadian Armour Division. So, guys, here we have just a couple of the little epaulette titles. This one would have been worn on the Canadian combat uniform. Again, BCD. They kept that all the way through ever since they were formed in 1929. And here we see another one, same type of thing, but this would have been for the dress shirt or the work dress shirt. They are available in the CADBAT pattern, probably Arid CADPAT as well. I just haven't got them yet, so just not trying to pick up these things here and there. And in the back here is just another little view of the Blazer crest that we've seen in past episodes. So this is pretty much the extent of my British Columbia Dragoon stuff so far. Always looking for more stuff. Always looking for more stuff. Got to get that collection. So there we have it. So I hope you guys liked this episode on the British Columbia Dragoons. Now, as far as reference books, most of the information that I talked on in this video comes out of Chris Booker's fabulous books here on badges of the Canadian Army, and a little bit with Daniel Mazias's book here on militia badges. And as you can see, here's the stuff here on the British Columbia horse. So like I keep harping, guys, you got to spend the money, get the reference material. It's very important, especially some of these badges, like we pointed out, that early kind of oval-looking one from the late 20s or early 30s, expensive badge. So you got to know what the heck you're looking for. Anyway, I hope you guys liked it, and keep going out there, keep getting the reference books, keep getting the badges, and well, happy collecting.